Welcome to the Confluence cast presented by Columbus Underground. We are a weekly Columbus-centric podcast focusing on the civics, lifestyle, entertainment, and people of our city. I'm your host, Tim Fulton. This week, the capital city's food scene is often heralded. However, its taco truck scene has been often overlooked. Elwood Ellis, a freelance writer for Columbus Underground and self-proclaimed Taco Connoisseur, is trying to change that. Listen in as Elwood shares his journey and criteria for evaluating the diverse and authentic taco scene, emphasizing the importance of not ranking trucks, but appreciating their unique offerings. He also discusses adventurous and vegetarian options available at taco trucks, the significance of quality ingredients, and the need for authenticity in dishes like al pastor tacos. You can get more information on what we discussed today in the show notes for this episode at theconfluencecast.com. Enjoy the interview. Sitting down here with Elwood Ellis, a freelancer for Columbus Underground. Elwood specifically covers the taco scene and the taco truck scene here in Columbus. That's Elwood, right. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Tell me about, first of all, how you got sort of interested in the taco truck scene and tacos specifically.
Sure. So a group of friends of mine would once a month go to different ethnic restaurants, just as sort of a thing to do and try out new food. And we also checked out taco trucks. So we've been doing that for around 10 years or so.
Okay.
And about 3 or 4 years ago, I took a taco tour with a local company here, and it just kind of re-sparked my interest and started this venture of trying to taste or try to go to every single taco truck in the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you familiar with the guy who has evaluated every crab rangoon in the city?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I've seen that guy on social media. Yeah.
Do you feel like it's a similar endeavor? Like, do you want to try every single one?
I think the intention maybe is similar behind both, but obviously way different experience.
And you are not going so far as to rank each or anything like that?
I definitely do not like to rank. I like to think of taco trucks like as if they were my children or pets, and I wouldn't want to rank them, right?
Gotcha. So, and talk about, for those curious, sort of what was your process to become a freelancer for Underground?
I follow Columbus Underground, have forever, and I saw that they posted that they were looking for freelancers, and one of them being tacos, and I thought, like, this is way out of my comfort zone.
Okay.
I run a software development team, so like writing is something that I would typically avoid. Even like in college, I picked classes that were specifically had tests and not papers. So
okay.
I thought, hey, what better way to like challenge myself to do something completely different and start writing.
Yeah, I will say though, like, given that you run a development team, like, you write tickets, right? Like, you write, you know how to write in order to convey information quite well, I imagine.
There's some accuracy behind that, sure.
Okay.
But it's not. There's no creativity in the writing there.
Fair. Yeah. But so you did come to it. They were looking for tacos specifically. Mm-hmm. You believe this was in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And I think you guys sort of met up at a taco truck and you wowed them with your analysis of it.
That's right. Well, first I put together a taco qualification resume.
Okay.
Which got me in the door.
Okay.
And then, yes, I took them to one of our better taco trucks in the city. And yeah, I think it all just went from there.
And so talk through, because Walker texted me and said, like, I've never had a better time eating at a taco truck. Mm-hmm. Talk through sort of what the live analysis was. Like, what are you thinking about? And like, what are you did you encourage him to get a certain taco?
Yes, absolutely. So, and that's like a slippery slope into tons of content.
Okay.
Sure. So, some trucks are better than other trucks at certain things. The truck that we went to, Los Pachucos, is one of the trucks that's better at everything overall as far as tacos and non-taco items.
Okay.
In fact, they excel at non-taco items. So one of the items that I recommended that he get was a gordita.
Okay.
Which is they have the most amazing gorditas. So it's a corn masa tortilla with base with beans, some queso fresco, cilantro, crema, and meat of your choice. And then it's topped with like a little nice hat that's crispy, made of the masa as well.
Okay. And this is certainly something you're going to consume with a fork, right?
It's a little unwieldy, yes.
Okay.
I recommend kind of using the plate and kind of hunching over,
Okay.
as much as you can. But the integrity of it eventually is gone, and yeah, you have to kind of.
It is still a street food, though.
Yes,
certainly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, some other places they'll be a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to manage in your hand, but theirs are huge. So it's kind of like a hold the plate, eat over the plate kind of thing, and then finish up with a fork for sure.
And so talk through sort of what you look for. Are you going in blind to these places? Certainly people are going to make recommendations, but what do you look for on the front end of like this? Do they have an extensive menu? Do they have a limited menu? Like what are the signals that you may get before you even order for what's a good taco truck?
Well, for sure. So if anyone else is there, if they're busy, if they're busy, generally they're going to be good.
Okay.
And that obviously applies to restaurants as well, but it applies to taco trucks too.
Yeah.
Granted, when a place is new, it's going to take them time to build up that foot traffic, et cetera. But, a good sign isn't necessarily what they've invested in the truck. So if the truck is like super fancy, it doesn't necessarily mean good food.
Right.
But for me, yes, also the menu. What they offer is important. If they offer certain things, they need to do it a certain way. So for instance, if they offer al pastor tacos, they need to have a trompo. And a trompo is that it's a spinning top where they marinate the meat and put it on the trompo, and it kind of goes around and hits the fire. And it's the only way to eat al pastor tacos, in my opinion. So if they offer that and don't have that, then I either skip the truck or skip that option. So that's just an example.
But is it possible that they're preparing it off-site or something like that? Or like you kind of need it to be, like a gyro, you need it to be live?
It's the same concept. And, in fact, it actually is derived from that. So, yeah.
Got it. And then what about them being, at least in my experience with taco trucks specifically, they're not all mobile, right? A lot are in static locations.
I actually think that's another sign. Great question.
Okay.
The less mobile they are, generally the better they are.
Oh, because they're not searching for customers.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And, if they're really good and they've been there a long time, maybe they can't even move the truck. In fact, one of my favorite places, the truck is old enough to where they don't sell the part to be able to move his truck.
Okay. So it's literally just like almost a shack or a stand for his tacos.
And when I say truck, I use that word kind of loosely to define like a trailer, a cart, or
it may even be a window in a different business.
It could be. It could be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get back to sort of the core of it. What makes a good taco?
Okay. For me, it's the quality of meat.
Okay.
The quality of meat option. Certainly there are vegetarian options out there as well that are good and worth checking out. I find that the veggie options are better in different vehicles and different items.
Okay.
But for the taco, it's definitely the meat. It has to be of good quality. It has to be seasoned properly. For me, a taco only comes with cilantro and onions. Anything else is blasphemy.
Okay.
Or you can just call it American style taco or some fusion or something else.
I had a joke written in here about certain kinds of tacos in the offerings, but so it comes down to the meat for you.
For me, yeah. Well, the tortilla should be good. Some places do handmade tortillas, which are good, which can be good, which can be executed poorly as well. But the tortilla needs to be crisped up nicely. And then finally, if you don't have a good salsa, you kind of ruin the taco. So you really need to have a quality salsa. For me, I like spicy, like very spicy. But as long as there's a little bit of hint of spice, I'm good with it as long as the flavor is balanced and it's good. Yeah.
And have you been a taco tourist in the past? Like this is... I would argue I hadn't had like legitimate tacos in Columbus until... a couple of years ago. I also wasn't seeking them out. Sure. And it wasn't until going to places like Austin where it's like, oh, this is what a taco is. Yep. It's not like a whole bunch of cheese and tomatoes and all this stuff.
So I definitely am a taco tourist.
Okay.
Everywhere I go, I try to check out the best tacos in whatever city I visit. So I've been to Austin, I've been to Phoenix, I've been to LA, all of which I would argue Columbus taco trucks can stand up to.
Okay.
The only place that I've been to that I would say the tacos are better are in Mexico City. Which,
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty hard to beat that, though.
Are there things from for folks who aren't watching, you are a Caucasian man, you grew up in Columbus.
Yep.
Is there any sort of like thing? Sorry, I probably shouldn't have prefaced it that way, but like, is there a cultural divide or things that you need to be aware of? Because this tends to be Hispanic folks that are offering these foods.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any sort like should you know how to order in Spanish?
It certainly helps.
Okay.
But if you think about it on the other end, they're trying to run a business that does service people that don't speak Spanish.
Yep.
So they, generally speaking, most trucks that aren't fluent in English will have the basic knowledge of quantity, item orders, things like that. So it generally isn't a problem, but it can be appreciated.
Yeah.
So I've actually been studying Spanish for the last couple of years, and I love going to trucks to practice.
Okay.
Get out of my comfort zone doing that too. So
yeah,
it's fun.
But no, nobody's looking down on you for speaking English. Nobody
absolutely not.
I ask because I believe that there may be some people who feel intimidated by it.
I can certainly appreciate that, but I would say you don't need to feel intimidated because, generally speaking, these people are hardworking and kind, and really they're just trying to make a nice product and earn a living, and they don't expect you to know Spanish whatsoever.
Got it.
So, but again, it does help, and it like I said before, it kind of breaks down a little bit of a wall between you.
Great. Is there anything unique about the Columbus taco scene that folks should be aware of, or in addition to your column, any sort of resources that they might use to discover taco trucks?
Sure. So first, I mean, you can follow me on Instagram. At 614 tacos.
Okay.
We have great content. It's primarily videos and pictures, but we provide brief descriptions of the places we go as well. Columbus Underground, the articles, obviously. I'm a member of several Facebook groups. You can look them up in Columbus. Taco Connoisseurs and Columbus Tacos, I think, is the other one.
Okay.
Those are pretty good resources, but you may get good tips around like what's specific to your area, but a lot of the contributors, to no fault of their own, don't necessarily have a comprehensive knowledge of the city and what it has to offer. Mm-hmm. So I'll segue that into how I would summarize is that what's unique about Columbus, or maybe just underappreciated, is the sheer quantity of trucks that we have.
Really?
So there are around, and it changes frequently as places shut down and open, but there are roughly 80 authentic immobile trucks.
Okay.
And 20 to 30 varying in degrees of authenticity, but mobile taco trucks as well.
That I am surprised by that.
Yeah, people are very surprised by that. So there's a very large Latino community here. So there's a huge demand for it.
Anything that Columbus lacks in terms of that scene that why isn't this here?
I wouldn't say so. Given that there's so many, there's good representation. I'd say recently we've added more seafood offerings.
Okay.
Or you'll see maybe on the trucks mariscos.
Okay.
Which we didn't have, let's say, 5 years ago. So there's definitely been a pickup in that, I would say.
And forgive my ignorance, mariscos would just translate to seafood?
Just, very seafood offerings, yeah. But you could see that on the truck to know that they specialized in that.
Got it. And that could be fish, that could be shrimp, that could be
octopus, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And you are looking for adventure here too, right?
Absolutely.
You're like, I've never had an octopus taco, let's go for it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, you won't get octopus served in a taco. You'll get it like in more of a ceviche form. So it's marinated in lime, and it's typically typically combined with either shrimp or fish.
Okay.
And, served with a tostada or like a big tortilla, crispy tortilla chip.
Okay. Walk me down that line. Are there additional things, not just the tacos on the trucks, that like folks should try? You had mentioned the gordita and the ceviche. What else?
What else
should folks try?
Absolutely. Gorditas for sure.
Okay.
Sopes are delicious. So a sope is very similar to a gordita as far as what's offered on it. So it has the meat of your choice. It has cilantro, beans, the queso fresco, and crema. But what's different about it is the base is slightly thicker.
Okay.
And it has no top. So what I do is it's a little bit easier to eat than a gordita. So I actually fold it a little bit and kind of eat it like a massive taco.
Okay.
So one or two of those, or one with a couple tacos, will definitely fill you up.
And besides the things that it might be lacking, is there anything about the Columbus taco scene that's like bad? Or like, so let's insert the joke first of all that like there are some restaurants here that are basically, don't at me, like fancy Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of how, because that is the super Americanized, super Caucasian.
Yep.
That is literally a restaurant that is white people taco night.
Yeah.
Insert song here.
Yeah.
Is there any other sort of like what you perceive as bad aspects of the scene?
So I wouldn't necessarily say it's bad because I compartmentalize it and put it outside of what I consider the taco scene.
Okay.
But that's not saying everyone does that. And that, to me, that's the problem, is that when you ask if you just take a general poll per se, people are going to respond with those places that you're thinking of.
Right.
The chain, a handful of local chain places that offer more of that Americanized taco or, fancy taco, like you said.
Right.
So I think if I think of those things as a different type of food item and not an authentic taco, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
And some of them actually have tasty food.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And and I'm not like, I don't think my intention is to shit on them, but I did. Yeah. It's much more, let's say your friend comes in from out of town, from Phoenix or Austin, and it's like, you know what I could use is some good tacos, and you take them to fancy Taco Bell.
Yes.
They're going to be like, oh, that's what they have in Ohio.
Yes.
Or in Columbus specifically.
And that absolutely happens. Not with me, obviously, but that absolutely happens. And it perpetuates that perception that we don't have the authentic taco scene that we truly do.
Got it. Any other sort of adventurous things in terms of like what's available on Taco Truck and what's available out there to people?
Yeah, sure. So I touched upon vegetarian options before, and
how adventurous?
Yeah, well, a handful of them have really, really good veggie options.
Okay.
Which being a former vegetarian and going to restaurants, it has been historically an afterthought, right?
Okay.
You get the pasta dish or whatever. Yeah, times have changed, things are different now, but you see at taco trucks. Often they offer nopales, which is cactus.
Oh.
And in the summer, it's a seasonal offering, flor de calabaza, which is squash, and their associated blossoms. A squash blossom is really delicious in a quesadilla.
Okay.
And the final veggie option is wheat lacoche, which is fermented corn must. It looks like corn, but it's like kind of blackish purplish. And it has sort of umami truffle kind of vibes. Super delicious.
Okay.
Typically don't find that year round either, but when you see it, I definitely recommend trying it.
Okay.
Outside of that, the most unusual, most challenging taco I've had was sesos or brains.
What animal? First pig, I assume. Or was it cow?
I believe it was cow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So cabeza, which is cow head, is absolutely delicious.
Okay.
But once you go inside the head for brains, not so much. To me personally. I'm sure some people like it, but it may be an acquired taste, but not for me.
Well, and I imagine the consistency is... What do they fry it? So
yeah, it's like cooked on the
flat grill top.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the consistency of scrambled eggs.
Okay. Okay. I end every interview with the same two questions. Sure. First of all, what do you think Central Ohio is doing well, and what do you think it's not doing so well? And maybe we take this outside the taco realm, since we, have batted that back and forth.
Sure. So I think the restaurant food scene is great in Columbus. Outside of tacos, I think we have a fairly diverse offering from different cultures, people that have emigrated here. And I really enjoy trying different foods outside of tacos. And I think we do a really good job at that. Outside of that, public transportation.
Okay.
I think we're severely lacking that. We often have visitors from other countries come here, and they're like, everything's so spread out. Like, you have to drive your car everywhere. Like, what's the deal with this? And I know it's a sore topic for some, but for me as well.
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
Elwood, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Confluence Cast presented by Columbus Underground. Again, you can get more information on what we discussed today in the show notes for this episode at theconfluencecast.com. Please rate, subscribe, share this episode of the Confluence Cast with your friends, family, contacts, enemies, your favorite taco enthusiast. If you're interested in sponsoring the Confluence Cast, get in touch with us. We can be reached by email at info@theconfluencecast.com. Our theme music was composed by Benji Robinson. Our producer is Philip Cogley. I'm your host, Tim Fulton. Have a great week.